It's Beer O'Clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Today we've got a beer from Home Bargains. It's by Off Axis Brewing Company and it's a can of Don't Leave Me Stout in the Cold. It's a winter stout at 5% ABV in a 440 milliliter can. There's a look at it. Now, Off Axis Brewing Company, it's a brand of beer that's kind of been invented for Home Bargains. It's actually Donkey Stone Brewing Company, Donkey Stone Brewery that produce these beers. I think. Well, I think it looks interesting enough, doesn't it? I mean, look at that can. Lots of eyeballs and spaceships and what looks like Christmas puddings. It's a weird looking can, but there we go. Let's get it out into a glass and see what we get. A winter stout. What is a winter stout? I've had oatmeal stouts, I've had imperial stouts, I've had Christmas stouts. I've never in my life had a winter stout. Are they saying that you can only drink this beer in the winter time, or what are they saying? It's a one finger tan coloured head. It's a jet black beer in the glass. Carbonation is rolling up the side. You can hear the head of the beer dissipating a little bit there. It looks okay. Let's get the aroma. It smells like a dark mild. I've had lots and lots of milds in my time. I quite like a mild. It smells like a mild. For the £1.99 price point in a 440 milliliter can, can they produce a good stout for that price? I think they should be able to, actually. If you were to go to a major kind of one of the top 4 supermarkets in the UK, Tesco, Sainsbury's, Morrison's or Asda, then you'll be able to go down the beer aisle and pick up a bottle, not a can, but a bottle of stout. Depending where you are in the country, where we are in the country, let's just use an example of Morrison's supermarket. I can go to Morrison's supermarket and I can pick up a Glamorgan Welsh cake stout for £1.60, £1.70, something like that. And it's rich, it's decadent, it's got a really roasty, toasty mouthfeel to it. It's got a really roasty, toasty aroma to it. And it doesn't smell like a mild, it smells like a stout. Whereas you're paying a little bit more here. And don't forget, you can get a canned craft beer is 440 millilitres. Whereas bottles are 500 millilitres. So you're getting more beer and you're paying less. This could blow my mind. This could be the best stout I've ever drank in my life. The best thing to do is to get into it. But for the time being, I'm going to say the aroma is definitely dark mild at best. Let's dive in. Cheers, everybody. Oh, blimey. Thin. Really thin. Really like... Oh, blimey. Oh, it's really disappointing. Really disappointing beer. It It's got like a cherry cola feel to it. It tastes like cherry cola. there's the smallest amount of roasted malt on the back end. But up front, it's all like this. Well, I challenge you to get a can of cherry cola and buy one of these and put it side by side. It won't taste exactly like cherry cola, but you'll know where I'm coming from. There's a little bit of vanilla. There's a little bit of coconut. The beer is very thin. It's very watery. It's very thin. I think you're better off if you're in the beer aisle watching this review. I know some of you do that. Look to your bottled stouts and look to something like, for me, I would definitely pick up Glamorgan's Welsh Cake Stout. Or the other one, I was just racking my brain then. The other one is Oyster Stout. It's by, I think it's Gower Brewery. I think it's Gower Brewery. They do an Oyster Stout. And you can pick that up if you're in Wales, you can pick that up in Morrison's. And that's pretty good. That's a pretty good stout. It's rich, it's creamy, loads of mouthfeel. So where is this lacking? Where is this beer lacking? Where can it be improved? What should I expect for a £2 can of craft beer? Well, it's really thin for a start. Really thin. There's no real mouthfeel to it. There's definitely no roasted malt. There's the tiniest amount of bitterness coming through. But there's no chocolate, there's no coffee, there's no caramel flavours coming through. I've said this throughout 2022. I think there's certain breweries out there who have worked out how to make like maybe an amber ale, and they've worked out that they can dye it black and try and fob it off as a stout. And it's not good enough. It's really not good enough. If you're going to call this a stout, then it needs roasted malt. And it needs enough roasted malt in the beer that it's going to be rich and creamy and have some chocolate and coffee and caramel from that roasted malt. It's just not good enough. It's just not good enough. Now, I know I've spoken about kind of home bargains beers being looked at as a bargain alternative to craft beer. But I'm not going to go down that road today. I'm not going to mention the fact that maybe one day you could afford to buy a £5 can of craft beer, and now because of the cost of living crisis, the circumstances people find themselves in, now you're looking in the shelves of home bargains and you're looking at this for £1.99. I'm not going to mention that because of what I mentioned earlier. You can go to a regular supermarket and you can buy a bottle of decent stout from your local regional brewery for probably 30 pence cheaper, and it'll taste an awful lot better than this. This is a really poor example of a stout. I quite like the New Zealand IPA. I thought that was okay from Off Axis Brewing Company. But this, nah, it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. There's too many corners being cut with this beer. Don't leave me stout in the cold. Winter stout. Yeah. At this point, I think home bargains are probably staring at the precipice. They're probably wondering, is it worth carrying on making our own label beers? Is it worth it? Because at the end of the day, they got a reputation as well. They've got a reputation, and there's already a lot of people out there who fully understand that these home brand Home Bargains beers are just not very good. They've just got such a bad reputation. So how much does that kind of bad reputation with their beer brewing or their contract beer brewing rub off with a general store? You know? Personally, I don't understand it. You don't see a Home Bargains chocolate bar. You don't see Home Bargains crisps. Why are we seeing Home Bargains beers? I would fully support it if the beers were good. But, I mean, the Glencairn stuff is okay. In fact, the Sorcha Pale Ale is pretty good. But apart from that, a lot of the beers there, I think they're probably on their way to ruining Home Bargains' reputation. I mean, it's almost become a thing. It's almost become a thing now on social media to kind of laugh a little bit at Home Bargains beers. And this is not helping. This is definitely not helping. This is a 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. Please put your comments in the comments box. Subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews. Give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom. Cheers.